Where are you? Harry, right? Is it Harry? Harris. Come up here, both of you. I wanted them, Stephen, if you can give them, Craig, you can give them the mic. Come up. And this happened last time I was here. They shared with me. I think it was last time. Introduce yourselves. Tell them who you are.
I'm Harris Balco. This is my wife, Diane. We're music professors, retired. And I was just telling Dr. Chavda of what our experience. It was in 2010. May I take time to tell
Sure.
you? It was in 2010, January. I think it was the 17th of January. I direct our church choir. Diane plays violin. She's a professional violinist. We're from Superior, Wisconsin, and she was concertmaster of the Duluth Superior Symphony for 39 years.
Wow.
It's a record for a woman. And so there was that Sunday in January, the choir was not singing, so we were down in the pews. After the sermon, there was a hymn to be sung. We were singing the hymn. Diane kept turning the pages of the hymnal, and I thought she didn't know what the hymn was. So I tilted my hymnal to show her which one we were singing. I pointed to it. She kept turning the pages. And finally I just said quietly to her, "Are you all right?" And she turned to me and she said, "Yes," but she had a droop. She had just had a stroke. And to make a longer story short, Monday morning, we finally went to emergency because she said, "I feel fine," but she wasn't fine. We finally went to emergency, and they did a CAT scan, and she had a bleed out right here in this part of her brain, and they didn't know what the cause was. It just a blood vessel broke or something, but she had a bleed out. Well, when that happens on the right side, the left side is affected. So, yeah, we went home after we got out of emergency, and as was Diane's habit every day, she put in 2 hours on the violin. It didn't work. The left hand could not find its position on the string. It was awful. And but Diane being Diane, she started from the beginning. Slow scales. I went to the back room. But she didn't give up. That's how persistent this lady is. Well, the doctors told her, we don't know how long you may regain this, you may not regain it. Besides not being able to play the violin anymore, she had lost all sense of time. She didn't know the sequence of things to get herself ready in the morning. Then on top of that, she became incontinent and running around with a droop on her face. And then it was the first part of February, we went to Lutheran Renewal. And we had just come in the door at Lutheran Renewal, and we saw Paul Anderson. And we knew Paul and Karen, and he greeted us, and I said, "Paul," I said, "Diane's had a stroke." And I said, "Would you pray for her?" He says, "Of course I would." And Paul prayed for her, and we felt very comforted and encouraged. We just felt like she was going to get help at Lutheran Renewal. Now it was in February, about a month later, wasn't it? Yeah. And then that Mahesh Chavda was the speaker. And after Mahesh's talk, which was wonderful, he said, "I have a word from the Lord that he wants to heal backs today. If any of you have back problems, come forward." And I told Diane, I said, "We don't have back problems, but we're going forward." And on the way up to the front of the church, Paul and Karen were coming back down the aisle. And I stopped to Paul. I said, "Is it all right to go up?" He said, "Go for it." So we went forward, and Mahesh was just going down the line because we were late getting up there because there were so many people. And people were falling, and he was laying hands on them and so on. And I called out to him. I said, "My wife's had a stroke." And he just wheeled like this. And without even seeing where he was looking, his hand touched her forehead, right where she had the bleed out. And down she went. I caught her. She lay on the floor. And I held her there in my arms for about 15 minutes. And then she sort of came around, and we got up. And, well, then what did you feel there, Diane?
Right. I said, I know I've been healed because I felt all this activity in my brain. And I said, I've been healed. So it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and well, we stayed for the rest of the conference, and I looked at her. I said, "You've been healed?" Because this is a skeptic. See, I was raised in the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. And they don't believe any of this stuff, you know? So, anyway, we stayed for the rest of the conference, and then we went home. Diane picked up her violin. The first thing she did, it was like it had never happened. She was just...
Amen. Amen. Give them a clap, will you?
Play into this.
Bless you. Tell your neighbor it's real.